New player, it might be overwhelming when looking at the wide range of attachments that are provided to you for each gun. Every single gun has its own attachment that runs the best for that particular gun. In today's video, I'll explain all the attachments in Rainbow Six Siege and how to know which one is the right attachment to use for your gun. Starting off with sights. So firstly, these are all the sights that's available in the game to you, and not all the guns have all these sights. So some guns might have a 3.0 scope, others will not. Some guns might have a 2.5, others will not. So it varies gun by gun which sights are offered. Like the 417, like Twitch's 417 here has the 3.0. I think that might be one of the only guns that have it. I think one other gun has it, but it's really rare to see a 3.0 scope. The chances of you using a 3.0 scope in an actual game is super low because it's not ideal to use 3.0 scope because of how zoomed in it is. If you see, like, it's almost directly right in the face. It's not the most useful of all the sights, but it could be used as like another sniper rifle technically in a way. After which we have a 2.5B. This is kind of similar to the 1.5, like the way it's laid out, but it's way zoomed in. And again, it's one of those kind of guns where you wouldn't probably see it being used that often in an actual game on any other gun. But it's probably, if you're going to use it, you would probably use it more on an attack than on a defense side. Next we have the ACOG, which is now known as 2.5A. This was really popular back in 2020, and that's when they nerfed ACOG. It's way more zoomed in now. Before it wasn't. It was ideal to use in different environment, or it could be used in anyway. ACOG was one of the best sights in the game back then, but recently it's been a different case. They've nerfed the shit out of it, and it's probably one of the worst sights now. Definitely don't use ACOG. My personal recommendation is either 1.5 or 2.0. I see people run 2.0 a lot of the time. 2.0 is really, it's useful in scenarios such as if you're gonna play a little bit of longer range. 2.0 is definitely a good option to go with if you're gonna play support, because a lot of the support players play a bit far and later in the round get closer to the player. So even if you're playing as support, 2.0 is good. But yeah, you can make your own decisions. But other than that, 2.0 is again one of the more zoomed in ones. Personal, I think community favorite is 1.5 scope. The 1.5 scope is literally like currently one of the best scopes in the game. Now that is because it's not too zoomed in or it's too zoomed out. It's kind of the ideal place where you want it to be. You can get long range off of this. You can even get like closer range. So with the more zoomed in scopes, it's harder to get a closer range kill, because if someone's close to you and you zoom in, you're gonna literally zoom into their eyes. Like, you're gonna be so zoomed in that it's gonna be hard to aim. 1.5 is the middle ground, like the more ideal middle ground, and that's why a lot of the people prefer having a 1.5 and using it when it's offered to you. Even if any other scope is offered 1.5, if it's offered, you would probably use it for the most part. And let's move on to the other scopes, which is below 1.5, and that's why these are called the magnifying scopes, because they're kind of more zooming in, I mean. But these scopes are not, they don't zoom in at all or anything. These scopes right here are just there for you to get an aim. So again, these are all the same in a way, like they all would behave the same. Like the magnifying scopes had a different understanding, as it says in the sights. It says for long distance engagements over here, but when you come down here, it just replaces the iron sight. So this way you can have a better aim without an iron sight, because iron sight is definitely not the best way to go in this game for a lot of the guns. I wouldn't say all the guns, but like this would be this is how I would be seeing even if I had an iron sight. Just the only difference is I have a scope now, which makes it easier for me to aim and have a look at what's happening. Again, Holloway is my personal favorite. Definitely play around with different kind of sights if you're going with one of these, because a lot of the guns, like I'll show you some of the guns which don't have any kind of magnifying ones. Like, let's have a look over here, like the Mozzie's P10 Roni. Oh wait, no, Mozzie's Commando 9. I mean, Commando 9 has no magnifying scope at all. it only has the iron sight enhancing scopes. So you can come here, you can try out like red dot A, get in a game or get in a shooting range and, you know, try it out and see how it feels. But yeah, definitely try out different sights if you're not doing for the non-magnifying ones, and you'll understand like how they are used and how you could probably better use them. Move on to something else which is really important in the game, and I believe it definitely is, the attachments, like the barrel attachments. Now these might seem like straightforward. Again, they are a little straightforward, but you still need to understand for every other gun they have a different reason. So over here, if you go in barrels, you can see the description. It tells you what the barrel is going to do. So for flash hider, it reduces the muzzle that moves upward while shooting. So definitely that means the vertical recoil of the gun is a bit, you know, timid after you use a flash hider, whereas the compensator does the horizontal movement while shooting, and the muzzle brake is more meant for like a single shot firing weapon kick. So like I was talking about the DMR, and I was showing about that, you know, the Twitch's DMR. That's a one, you know, single shot firing one. So muzzle brake would probably be the best attachment on that gun, because it's, again, single shot firing. And then when we have the suppressor, it just, you know, it removes any kind of flash or trills visible and reduces noise. So these are the 4 attachments that we have in a on a gun. So firstly, starting off with the flash hider, it's probably one of my more favorite ones. Of course, all the guns don't take flash hider. Some guns would be much better with a compensator. I'll show you an example of both of them. But if you want to know which gun is probably better with which barrel, what you want to do is just remove a barrel, get back in the shooting range. That way you'll be able to tell its recoil pattern and see how it does. So let's take it all the way from the bottom here and just press on shoot and hold down. Don't try to don't try to control the recoil. So if you see from this recoil pattern, this is what you call a recoil pattern. So its recoil pattern is when you're not holding the recoil down, or you're not changing the recoil at all, and you're getting a hold pattern. So over here we can see the recoil pattern is going rightwards every 4 or 5 shots. It's getting more right. So it seems like it's a bit more muzzle brake. Sorry, you compensator one. You might want to use, maybe compensator would be a better option. Let's try compensator and see how it looks like after putting it on. So we still have the recoil pattern over here, and now we're gonna try to control our recoil while having the compensator on. So there you go. You see over here, compensator takes care of more of the horizontal recoil. So you get initial couple of bullets which go horizontal a little bit up, and then it boils down to right in the center. So you can kind of see how there's a little bit kick in the start, but that kick boils down coming back in the center. Now if we do the same thing with the flash hider, we might have a lower kick while going up horizontally, but going up vertically, but having more kick horizontal. So if you look over here, if you see there is more, if you see the pattern goes a bit over here instead of going straight up. So this shows that, you know, again, there is some recoil which is going this side, and yeah, there you go. Over here you can see I started over here, but I ended up over on this side. So that shows that there is a recoil that is taking me on this side more, on the right hand side than on the left hand side, which is suppressed when I use the compensator. Again, definitely try out different barrels on each gun and see which one's better for you. For me, I personally prefer the the flash hider on the C70 of this particular gun. Again, yes, I'll have a little bit, like you see that kick, that whole recoil pattern over there is like all the way to the left and right, but that's probably sometimes is better in a 1v1 situation when, you know, the enemy is moving and you're also moving. So that could be helpful. Again, some guns are so bad that they'll go like this. So you might want to check out different guns, use them and use different attachments on them and see how they actually feel like. Or a DMR in particular, you know, the one which is a one-shot gun, I again have a muzzle brake. Again, this is probably there won't be a lot of options for DMRs, but some do. Like again, I told you, every single gun has different options for attachments. Some will have extra options, some will not. We have suppressor and muzzle brake. Both are really common. Some people would use suppressor, some people would use muzzle brake. Muzzle brake, you know, if you cannot handle the kick of the weapon, muzzle brake is definitely the way to go. A lot of people can, so they use suppressor to, you know, hide their tracks. So again, if I use a muzzle brake, that's what I have on a Rooney. You get in the game, let me just clear that, and this is how it's gonna look like. There is like there's barely any kick. But if I were to use, let's remove the barrel at all, and then see how it feels like. It's gonna feel much more heavy when you shoot at it. Like, you see how my kick is completely gone up. So you see there's a higher kick in this. Again, it's not that bad. People don't mind it that much. So that way, that may use suppressor. If you don't mind the kick, because it's sometimes not useful. Like, it's fine. Like, you know, you can deal with the kick while you're shooting at the person. So people deal with it different ways. I would say personally, muzzle brake is definitely the way to go in a DMR. Again, suppressor is also there, but I would definitely recommend going a barrel than no barrel. Some people have seen go with no barrel and they just don't end up doing well. I don't understand why, but definitely the muzzle brake is doing definitely better over here. You can see than the other ones. But yeah, so that's probably for what you want to do for the DMR. Alright, let's move on to the grips. So I feel like almost every single gun has okay, other than the recent change that we have had in Twitch, like the Twitch F2 doesn't have any kind of grips in this gun anymore because they nerfed her. But almost every single gun in this game has some kind of attachment, like, and some kind of grip in it. So there are only two grips in this game. That's the vertical grip and the angle grip. So the vertical grip is much better for reducing recoil. Now again, recoil is a major thing in this game. You want to control recoil as much as you want, or I mean, sorry, as much as you can, and you don't want to overdo recoil because that could literally be life or death situation in the game. So vertical grip is best for recoil. Angle grip, on the other hand, does not control recoil at all. It's not meant for recoil. So if you have like amazing recoil control, angle grip might be useful. But the only thing in angle grip is it's the transition between hipfire and ADS. So if you don't understand that term, hipfire is when you're not aiming in, and ADS is when you're aiming down sight. So that means when you're aiming with the sight, that's what you call ADS and hipfire. So when you switch, like, you know, when you start to, like, when you have to aim down sight, you switch, right? You switch into the sight. Now, it says the transition is a little bit faster. Personally, I haven't seen much of that. Doesn't affect anything. It might be a little bit faster, but I think they did nerf it a bit, and you can barely see the transition. So personally, I definitely recommend a vertical grip. Even though I could show you what angle grip might look like. Some people did run no grips, so that's a different opinion. Some people have. So angle grip, as you can see, is on right there. It looks a bit funny, and if you get rid of this, and I see, like, this is the recoil pattern that I'm getting right now, all the way just going straight up. But let's see, while controlling it, it's so much harder to control. But there's a little bit kick in the start, but then it settles down again, like almost every single gun. Like, you see, there's a kick, but then it settles down. This pattern is going to be way worse if I'm using angle grip. Like, with a vertical grip, this pattern is going to be so much better. And then you go like this. You see, that's just so much better pattern over there. Vertical grip is always the better way to go. Also, do want to mention extended barrel. I think I forgot about it. I just saw it. So yeah, extended barrel is another attachment in the game. Not all the guns have it. Not a lot of the guns have it. But with this, it reduces it just gives you more damage. So if the gun has 24 damage, let's say, after adding extended barrel, the damage would probably be 26, 27 or something. But it's not a huge extension. I'll only recommend this on guns which don't have high recoil pattern, or their recoil is not that high. such as the Thorn's gun. Thorn's gun is pretty OP with extended barrel because the recoil on her gun is not like the Uzi. It does not have that much recoil. So I always run extended barrel on it. Sometimes I might run flash hider. Sometimes it depends on my mood. But yeah, you want to keep as I say, you want to play around with these things. As these settings go in, you might not find yourself doing well with all of them. You want to keep playing around with it. You can play around in shooting. You can like the shooting range. You can play around with in like casual matchups. Just play around with all these setups. You'll find your best one for the gun. And the next is under barrel laser. Now under barrel laser is probably one of the most useless things in a proper gun. This helps with hipfire accuracy. In a shotgun, this makes more sense than using it in a gun like an Uzi or any other primary guns. You don't want to. Another reason you don't want to use this in any other primary guns is because you can see the red dot. The laser, you can see it. I've had it multiple times where I could see the laser because the guy was pointing straight at the door and I was on the other side of the door and I could see his laser, and exactly by looking at his laser I knew exactly where he was going to be. So that way, you know, it gives away your positioning too, but it's not a bad idea if you want to use it on an SMG, a C75 or a shotgun. All three of these are good options to use a laser on. It helps with hip fire because you might be doing hip fire with those guns. And yeah, but don't run it on a primary. It's not gonna help you that much. It's only gonna make it worse. I see a lot of people struggling with the SMG11 controlling recoil. I myself struggle with it at times. I'm still learning about it. But again, this is what I'll run on the SMG11. I use Holloway. It's one of my favorite sites. Vertical grip controls the recoil much easier for me, and I use the flash hider because if I go no, if I remove the barrel and I get in the game and I use it, if you see, you're gonna see the recoil pattern of the gun, and that's just off the roof if you see how it is. So you really want to use a flash hider to control a much better recoil. Like if I'm gonna try controlling it right now, it's gonna be almost impossible for me to control it. Like look at that. But adding a flash hider changes it and makes it a much better option. I've seen people run an extended barrel on this, but their recoil control is almost impeccable. They're amazing recoil control. So I would recommend, if you're new to the game, use a flash hider. Much better option. Don't be scared to use this gun. You know, yes, at times, you know, your gun is gonna go straight in the sky, and that's not gonna be ideal. But you want to still learn the gun. You want to still make the best out of it. Try not to just empty the clip once. What you can also do with this gun is, instead of just emptying it all at the same time, you might want to tap fire. So you can tap fire like this, tap a little bit, and shoot. Let's say he's right about here, you tap fire. You know, that's much easier to control recoil because there's not much recoil that you're controlling while doing a tap fire. So it's so much easier. You might get a good headshot. And then, yeah, again, if you want to control the recoil and shoot the whole mag in, that's also possible. But yeah, it's recommended that to use a flash hider. You can try a compensator. Maybe your vertical recoil control is better than your horizontal one, and that might run the better way. So again, you can do taps if you want, and yeah, don't be scared to use SMG11, SMG12. Use all these secondary weapons, because I've seen players, you know, they have a shotgun and they're trying to do long range shots with shotgun. Not ideal. Take out your SMG, go for it. It's fine. You might miss, you might not hit them, but you're gonna get more comfortable playing this gun and might even slowly get better at it. So yeah, just do it. Even if you're not well at it, try your best and you might do well. That's gonna be it for today. If you guys enjoyed the video, do like and subscribe, as it means a lot to me, and yeah, I'll see you guys later. Peace.